What's up, everybody? I played this Scholar Magic, and I got a tutorial video today for you today. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our Brawl deck, and we're going to be making it into like an awesome casual Commander Night deck in EDH format. So basically what we've done is we started with like basically a deck that we'd create on MTG Arena in the Brawl format. So this is our 100 card list. It's a sweet commander that we're working with. Instead of doing like Azorius Control, we just decided to do Azorius tokens. And they actually happen to be Golems, which is kind of a throwback for like some really older kind of cards. Like you might be familiar, like if kind of joined into Magic, probably in the, what is it, the Eldritch Moon days. And they had like, I think they had a kind of a couple of Phyrexian sets back then too. But Blade Splicer was a card, definitely Blade Splicer. Master Splicer, these kind of cool little creatures that would give you a lot of value. They had to be good back then. They had, I know power creep because power creep is real, but they're still pretty decent. And they're golems, and they're just sick 3/3s. And like, Malkador is definitely like a little throwback card. It's basically a Blade Splicer, right? It has this like definitely another ability, like additional text. And it's a legendary, so you can go in the command zone. That if you have like 3 artifacts enter the battlefield under your control this turn, you'll also create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. So, really good value there overall. Just love to see it. And yeah, we are definitely going Golems in this deck, so that's kind of the vibes that we're going to go. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to be taking this deck from your MTG client. So we have this here, of course, it's made. And we're going to be going to our March of the Phyrexian. What we're going to do is you have like kind of this, different options up here. You're going to want to export this deck. So now we are exported. And now we're going to be going to our Mox field. So Mox field is a really cool deck building website. We'll just kind of go to their home screen so you can kind of see what it looks like. Obviously, you're going to make an account if you haven't already done it here. Very easy to do that. No complaints with Moxfield. They even like let me like post like links to my videos. They've never really sent me a message like stop doing this like. And it's always been interesting. Like Magic is like kind of very free in that way. Like if you're promoting the brand, they kind of like let you kind of do what you want with their copyrights in terms of thumbnails and stuff. So it's kind of like a very cool enterprising kind of content creation to me in general. So what we're going to want to do now is go to our decks here, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to add a new deck. So that's what we're going to want to do. We're going to add a deck. So we go to new here, and now what we're going to do is like we're going to have a sweet title like March of the Phyrexians or something like that. If you wanted to like have SEO built into this, like for finding, maybe you thought your commander was pretty hot and you wanted like people like that might be looking casually into like these commanders, then that might be also part of your title, is to, maybe add the commander name, Mekator, or Malkator. This was Malkator. Purity Overseer. And then you could have like a little bit of that. March of the Phyrexians. Boom, right? No problemo. And then, so you could have your Brawl deck here. And we can also just put our commanders here as well. And we'll just find it. It's very seamless in this way. We'll create the deck. And now from our export, we have a bulk edit function here. So you're going to click on that. And then just go ahead and Control V your list into there. Get rid of the redundancy. We don't have any like alchemy cards or any like, cards that are from Jumpstart. So it's going to seamlessly take our list. And now our list is here. You have different options like of like what kind of grids you want. Like we can kind of take a look at all the visual grids. Like you could just have text if you wanted. So that's just like a textual list. So that's pretty cool. Very condensed in that way. You could do a Let's see what else it's got. We'll just go down the line. You can have condensed text. Okay, so that's like even a little bit tighter. Visual grid. Ooh, that's pretty hot. Yeah, I had to say I'm pretty fond of the visual grid, guys. Very tidy. Yeah, I'm probably going to start presenting my lists like with a visual grid now. It looks so much better. Let's try the visual stacks. Visual stacks is pretty nice too. Kind of just gives you kind of a rundown of, you know, in a straight down line. Let's check out visual stack split. Okay, so there's that one. And the visual spoiler? Okay, so that's kind of similar than the other one we checked out earlier, right? This one was nice. The visual grid was very cool. And I'm sure you could zoom in by just like, you know, hitting like, you know, Control Plus or, you know, whatever it is that your keyboard kind of works into, kind of to get into a little bit of a zoom there. So this is all kind of nice. I will Control minus because I feel like what we kind of do, like if you were presenting the deck like one card by one card, I think this would be good. I usually use the let's see if I do one more zoom out. Let's see here. That's not bad. I would say that just for our purposes, we might be changing cards, and that's kind of the main purpose of this, is to yeah, and that's kind of like the visual stack is kind of a little bit better to kind of, for our purposes, kind of have like a whole look at kind of all the cards that are in the deck at once. Just a little bit more. I kind of can see a little bit more of what's going on. Kind of can see what's going on over here all at once. So that's kind of maybe why we would kind of keep it like that. And there's also tags. If you want to like put on your tags too, you can do that as well. So if you ever want to put a tag onto something, you just simply like click on it, and you have like the there's a change tag function here, and I believe you're just always going to be utilizing the hashtag like this, and just say like something like blink. Okay, just like type blink. Okay, and if we type blink here, now if I enable tags, we're going to see basically a blink, you know, so that it looks like this is a very, you know, I've used tags before. You can see it's not like completely optimized by your tags, but you can see that now Abuelo is part of like the global blink tags. And when we do enable our tags, kind of puts it there. It can organize your deck a little bit better. So that's your tags too. And I would say what we're going to do now is probably like look about the things you could do with this deck as it is. So as of now, this is a $776 deck. Like, and I think that'd probably be through any of the marketplaces. So if you wanted to simply buy the deck, you would, you know, go through one of these. If you just wanted to purchase the deck via online ways, you could do that. You know, obviously, you have your LGS to go check out, of course, and, you know, perhaps pick up some of these cards. My LGS, they're probably going to have a lot of these high ticket items in the glass, like Mondrak, you know, Quantum Riddler. Those are going to be like very easily accessible, usually at your local LGS. Like these very, you know, kind of more valuable cards like Elish Norn, those are probably going to be just kind of sitting in the glass at your LGS. Now, it might be even like an Elspeth. I mean, obviously some of these cards are in a lot of demand, so you just might not get them. But overall, you can be pretty safe to like, you know, go to your LGS and usually get into some of these New York stuff. Now the question is like, what about like the harder to get stuff, you know? And that's a good question. So now we're probably not going to be done with this deck as it is. You know, we can just, like I said, you could leave it like this and have it composed of the cards from Brawl and the card pool. You'll even know like the Ocelot prod is nerfed, right? It's one more, it's a mana more, you know? This card is extremely strong, right? So it's just a different format, you know. It's a weird format with the buffs and the nerfs and the cards that are allowed versus not. Like it's just it's really far out, but it's very close to like an EDH experience. But you're just simply not going to have all of the cards from Magic's history like that EDH can offer. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to export our deck once again. I think we're probably already exported, right? Or in this case, what we can simply do is just switch this over to Commander. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to turn it from Brawl to Commander, because you might just want to advertise this deck, you know, for someone that might be interested in a Brawl deck to play this. I would say there's definitely a distinction between the two. I mean, off the bat, like, we're just going to simply get more cards into the card pool. Like, this deck played a little bit high. Like, and what I mean is, like, I think it played, like, a little bit too many lands. It felt, like, kind of floody at times. So what I'd probably do is, like, just simply, like, swap out a land here and another island. You know, just like simply trim that for like a Soul Ring. And that was just like how the vibes of like how the deck played. Now the Soul Ring is obviously like it's not available in Brawl, but it's simply like your most powerful like one drop, right? It's just simply insane in the membrane. Like you really can't have a bad game if you have this in your opening hand. It's just pretty much impossible. So we're definitely going to be doing that. And the whole purpose of the Malkador deck was to really kind of like advertise a really strong Golem deck. And one that like would do justice to the Golems of Magic history. So what we want to do now is we're going to also visit a site called EDH Rec. EDH Rec. Or simply, it might even be in your best interest to do like EDH Rec Golems. Say, for instance, and then now you have your Golems here, right? And we're probably just going to look at all of them. Like, I don't really care about the, you know, the colors and all. We're just going to kind of like probably just sift through. I mean, like, look at, is this a Golem himself? I don't think he is, because it just says legendary artifact creature. I don't know if they had like creature types really back then, but I mean, Karna's probably pretty sick, you know, honestly. But it's just simply not a Golem. Now, in Brawl, we do have the Blade Splicer, so it's just it wasn't in my reach. And I'll illustrate this. So the Magic the Gathering economy is kind of brutal. I've been mostly like free to play for like the last, I'd say like 2 months. And the main reason why is since I got this Mac, I cannot like buy gems on here. Like, I don't know if they patched it up wrong, but simply I can't seem to get transactions through. So I've just been like free to play like for years now, it seems. So yeah, all the cards you see are just grinding out in Brawl. But you'll see like a card like Blade Splicer, or if I just type in Golem, you're going to see we're not going to really get too many like for these colors. I'll even just turn off the kind of the so we turned off the color restrictions, and you can see there's a Blade Splicer. It is available, but I just simply do not have the rare wild cards. And so there's a couple of them, you know. We did even have the Wonder Glyph in here, because it does turn into a Golem, so we're definitely going to keep it. It's like a cool little board wipe. The Glyph, Vaughn was mentioning the Glyph today in the comments. And that's a Golem. And I like the Zoetic Glyph. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll probably slide that in there too. Probably get the Zoetic Glyph going. It's pretty cool. Um, what does this turn into? We have a very high-priced golem payoff to craft as well. So these are all the golems, right? And it's kind of fun. You can kind of just see the golem card pool. I'm going to turn on to blue specifically, just because you can see this is it, guys. There's not much going on here. You know, a masterful replication and a zoetic glyph and whatever this is. So, yeah. So that's it. You don't really get too much for golems, but if we go and we look here, it's like, oh dang, we are. Look at this, a wing splicer. That's cool. Like this is going to, help our golems get into the air, and that's a good little treat right there. This is just going to let all our golems have first strike and also create a 3/3. The dark steel splicer is really good in EDH, right? Because when you see the Phyrexians enter, it's going to basically trigger this production of golems for each of your opponents that you have. And golems you have are indestructible. This is like a golem, like basically buff golem lord, and it also creates a Phyrexian golem. And yeah, like all of these are kind of like, kind of sliverish, right? So we're just going to go down the line. And I know the Master Splicer was in there. We already had that available on Brawl, but none of these other golems were. So we're going to start there and just kind of start adding in our golems, And with the point being is to have a really cool casual commander deck deck. So we're going to go get our Blade Splicer now. And I should be in commander now. Beautiful Blade Splicer. And what I was mentioning about your LGS is that they might simply not have these cards. I mean, you can, like for one, not mine doesn't always have its bulk ready. Like it just depends. Like, you're gonna probably have like those $1 binders with all the colors, but like bulk is kind of another thing. And then you have to kind of sift through these and kind of do a hunt, right? So that might be a little more difficult to find these kind of rares or cards that you want to complete your deck. Certain vendors might be able to do it at certain places, but and I'm sure if you could arrange that with your LGS too, like to look through your cards, but we don't always have the time to kind of do that. So I'd probably recommend using online marketplaces for something such as this, because it's just you're going to be playing at dollar shipping for a card, but honestly you're going to have them, and then your deck is going to be pretty much done, right? And it's not that bad. So we're going to add these in now. We have our Blade Splicer and our Wing Splicers next. And then our Dark Steel Splicer. We already have our Master Splicer and then the Sensor Splicer. And now we're just going to be like kind of, I think we're ready to kind of turn on our, blinders to just the white and blue choices. We might take a look at here and kind of be interested, but these are dying effects. I'd be more interested in like entering the battlefield effects than dying effects. Like I am a big fan of Meteor Golem in these colors because they just simply like, have a lot of enter the battlefield value and recurable value for it. And then your game changers are here. So this one's kind of funky, isn't it? The Wander Glyph. It's kind of expensive too. So I'm not really too interested in like, it's really good. Oh dang, it's like, especially if we're creating so many tokens, it's really strong. At the beginning of each cup, you create a 1/1 gnome. Wow, that's so good. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. That's crazy, huh? That's a crazy card. Holy crap. Yeah, if we're doing golem stuff, I think that's probably got to go in, right? Illustrious Wanderglove. Oh, okay. It's a little cheaper, apparently, in some area. Oh, that is Card Kingdom is a little more expensive than other places. Geode Golem. Okay. So the Mycosynth Golem is like such a sick card, right? Affinity for artifacts. Artifact creature spells you play have affinity for artifacts. It's pretty good. You really got to be slamming your artifacts. And like I was saying, I don't know if we were playing so many artifacts. I mean, it's getting a little better with all the golems. I think we have to do it though, right? We're not messing around here. We don't mess around here, guys. I don't know if it's even good, but we're kind of doing the golem thing. Dang. $32. It's a combo card, obviously. It just kind of gets in. This is a golem. With flash. Huh. Weird. There's some really nice golems here. I'm glad I'm kind of looking through here because this is when you kind of get the juice, you know. Oh my god, the Platinum Imperium is a golem. I have one of those already. Do we want it though? It's pretty good. It's a pretty good golem. You know, and like I said, like I think we're gonna kind of keep it a little bit simple. Kind of want the enter the battlefield ones. These kind of just makes our golems a lot stronger. So I will keep the illustrious one. I'm not so attached to this Mycosynth golem. I'm looking for more like buff effects. And the Roaming Throne is a card I do have. I thought it would be interesting to kind of name Phyrexian for Malkador and double up on his triggers and the other Phyrexians because they're all Phyrexians. And I thought that would be very clever. So I think we will name Phyrexian mostly, but there might be circumstances where we name Golem in some circumstances too. But I think it will be fine to add the Roaming Throne. I do have that card. Yeah, I think that'd be fun to kind of double up on their triggers. And we're just kind of perusing, looking for any golems that might This would be the chosen type. Interesting. I was looking at Karn, but it doesn't have like a particular enter the battlefield trigger for us. Wow, Blightsteel Colossus is there too. Steel Overseer is pretty cool at the 2 spot. I definitely want to get a Mondrak. I simply just don't have his card. And I mean that like, you know, probably at the LGS they'll probably have a Mondrak, so I might have to go and trade up for it. Trade up for some of these high ticket items that I just simply can't really keep up with in terms of my own bank account. You take a little bit of a hit, but it is what it is. We kind of make and hone the decks you want to make, you know? It's pretty cool. The Ultic Matter Weaver is pretty sweet. What? Oh, that's beautiful for us. The Ultic is a very good catch right there. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. That's just going to make our 3/3s. So that's very fine for us. That's no problem. Yeah, that's super sick. Yeah, we have lots of creature spells. I think it's good. I think it's fine. I'm kind of wondering, like, it is one of those ones that's not an enter the battlefield trigger. Got Thought Monitor is pretty gas. It's kind of easy money on those guys, isn't it? Let's go. This does create tokens, doesn't it? That are artifacts. So we added the Thought Monitor in. The Monstrosity guy there. Have some other kind of instance. Nothing too dramatic here, is there? I'm sure like Panharmonicon is probably going to be kind of recommended around the way. Brilliant Restoration's cool card, but hard to pull off. So Panharmonicon. Incubator's kind of interesting for Phyrexians in this deck. You see some Enter the Battlefield kind of cards here. They're just very effective. And Tempered Steel was also kind of on the list, right? I do like Smitty too for the Enter the Battlefield. Just kind of creates, kind of a big body. It's not like, necessary though. It's not totally necessary, but it's just an interesting one. Tempered Steel is pretty strong, isn't it? Anointed Procession. Whew, that's a $58 card. I mean, that's pretty swell. It's pretty swell for this deck too. Maybe something to work up to, right, guys? So I think what the time is now is just to kind of look at kind of the add-ins that we've put in and kind of just kind of see like where we landed and kind of see if there's any kind of readily cuts that we can make or directions we want to take our sweet little deck here. So the price did go up. We did add some cards. So it's probably because we had like alchemy listed cards before, like the Ocelite Pride. So now it's like seeing it as its full value, which is, quite a bit of money. And then we also added the Roaming Throne as well. So what are the things I like about this deck? What can I say that I like about it? Well, what I did notice about it in general is that it definitely goes a little bit wider. Can definitely it has a really good like 1-1 removal suite for sure. So it plays like cards like Portable Hole, for instance, which are pretty solid, and good for like kind of blinking out or exiling them, having them come back on the battlefield, maybe hitting other targets later on that maybe are more impactful. Just a really solid card in general, right? The Portable Hole, and this is just a very good like instance / flicker suite. Like it always had some sort of possibilities. Like Plantar Incision always looked pretty decent. Where maybe our Mondrak got turned off. Maybe this got like an Amphibious Downpour put onto it. It was just shut down, right? And it didn't do anything anymore. But we had like these really interesting instances where if the opponent like didn't like, play their big bomb, we could have like, basically blinked back our Mondrak, healthy, and basically started creating an abundance of tokens. The tokens definitely played very well. So the token kind of like aspect was very strong. So for instance, like a Mondrak with your where is it, the Overlord of the Mistmoors, that always like was kind of looming and kind of always very strong. What did we change? Well, I think what we did is we took out like the Simulacrum Synthesizer suite because we simply weren't running enough artifacts that were going to be over 4 mana, and our Refurbishing Bay wasn't looking good. The card that would help fetch us that card wasn't looking good either. It just wasn't looking great at all. And so in lieu of that, we kind of keep kind of our shell, but we get to add like Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, and then we also added a Teleportation Circle here. So now the point of the deck basically is to play cards with enter the battlefield triggers. You know, when this card enters, do this, because what we can do with a lot of our creatures, say for instance Charming Prince, this card basically will exile a card target creature own, and then return to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So you basically get to blink this card, and it will come back, and you'll get the enter battlefield trigger again, and you get another Golem. So probably the epitome of this kind of archetype is the Yorion Sky Nomad from Ikoria. This card was like kind of made famous, back in a couple of years ago. And if you go back to my last little gameplay video, you would see that Yorion is definitely been like a big staple from Ikoria. It was competitive until it was banned in, I believe, Modern. And it's so good, like especially in the companion zone, like where, like if you're playing like 60 card deck and standard, you could play like the 80 card deck, and then all of a sudden this thing was just free from your command zone for a moment there until they made it like 3 more to buy it, but it was still super strong even with that tax. So Yorion is cool because all your creatures here and your permanents in general are going to have like this ability to have a trigger when your thing enters. So even like 1,000 Moon Smitty, like it's not a creature, but when it enters, it creates this like super strong golem. So similarly, like even with one of our battles here, like Invasion of Gobekhan, like just repeatable value. This thing like hits the ground, gets into an opponent's hand. Even if you flip it, you can still, target it. Or is it targeting? I don't know if it's the act of targeting. Does it target? No, I don't think it targets. It's just choose. You just exile any number of permanents. So you just exile this permanent, you select it, and it basically will return. You'll get that value of looking to an opponent's hand and taxing a card. Even if you had already flipped it, it's just going to basically turn into its original form. And that's nice because you can just kind of see what's going on with your opponents and kind of like bug them. I thought like probably the most intriguing part of this deck is like the warp cards, because you can kind of have like a pseudo scam, right? Where you warp something in and then you go ahead and like ephemerate it, and then it just sticks to the board. I think the Quantum Riddler is like kind of the nastiest of the nasty here, because you just simply warp that in, probably draw like 2 cards, then ephemerate it, and then like you're drawing even more cards and it's sticking to the battlefield, and it's just simply entering again. So it's it's some wild stuff you could do with this. I mean, it's $50. I mean, I think it's because it's just good on its own, but then when you kind of get into these like more eternal formats, where you simply just have more of these ways to, exile something and have it come back, like it's just super strong in general. So I am fond of like these kind of flashbacky cards. I think they get a little bit stronger. Like this one in particular, because it doesn't hit legendary creatures, they get a little bit better when we kind of add a little bit more action, like these different types of splicers and blade splicers that kind of are not legendary, and they just kind of work in that manner. What's cool about this deck is this is also a Phyrexian. So like if for instance you were in the Roaming Throne and you name Phyrexia, if an Annex Sentry hits the board, all of a sudden this is going to trigger twice, and this single creature is going to take 2 creatures of mana value 3 or less. So that's kind of a cool interaction. It's just like a sweet little Phyrexian, you know. It just has like that very cool modality to it. Similarly with Elish Norn, it's just going to trigger twice. So yeah, those are just like kind of very nice little triggers in general. So probably some of the weaker cards that we can kind of look to maybe check out or take out of the list. These inspectors were mostly decent. I mean, they'd always get you a card, mostly. They play pretty well in these kind of Artifact Matters deck, especially with cards like Emery. I'm not sure we need two of them, though. So I was playing, I think, the Novice Inspector here as well. I'm not sure you need both of them. I think probably one of them would be fine. They're both basically the same creatures. They're both humans, so we can go with a Thraben Inspector. I'm not too sad about that. I'd also say that like something like this, I didn't really see this card, but it's just like doesn't exactly always just draw you a card, which is kind of sad. Like I kind of want the card. I was just kind of going for some artifact synergy to start, so that's not too hard of a cut either, to be honest. Now, I think the next debate is between like this Cosmogrand Zenith and the Ultic Matter Weaver. And the problem was with the Cosmogrand Zenith, I just simply don't think we're playing like such low to the ground. I don't think we're going to be double spelling a lot. So I know it seems like a very cool way to like kind of, buff up our creatures or maybe more tokens, but it just doesn't seem like we're going to be double spelling. This Ultic Matter Weaver seems pretty cool, though. We're going to be making like an army of 3/3s with that. So I think that's like a pretty cool choice. And then, in fact, like any of the cards that are kind of like, the ability that has a nice enter the battlefield trigger, or it basically lets something else like exile and then come back. Those kind of have high value for us. Like, especially like for our Yorians, we definitely want to add a Brago, because that's kind of like the staple-y card for EDH as well. So a Brago is just very good for, having massive amount of things like, exile and then return, because this thing simply just has to deal combat damage, and that's what it does. It's just going to exile all those non-land permanents we control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So that's that with that. So we're at 105 now. We definitely have like a pretty good like kind of token-ish warp scam. So I think we're kind of ready to like, this is a cool title. I guess like the theme of the deck, and you can also do this too. You could do like primers as well. I haven't done a primer, but you can definitely do that as well. There's ways to kind of write about your deck here in the primer. And like if I would be to start here, I'd definitely kind of illustrate that there is definitely like a warp mechanic here that's ready to be like readily abused, because you can just simply have a card such as Exalted Sunborn like hit the board, and then you can actually make it stick with like such as like a Cloud Shift or an Ephemerate. Those are just going to like momentarily blink is very cool too because of the flashback. I like these ones that have flashback, so they kind of get a little bit more value. So I'm pretty happy with like this in general. I think I'm a little more fond of like a Strict Serenade or a Wash Away, just because they hit commanders like very easily. I'm also a big fan of Flare, because we simply can just like put Malkador under the bus sometimes and just recast it for its value. So this is a great counterspell. Pact is also just plays just very well. It's just kind of there to like help you race, I would say. It's strong, but it won't win you the game. I don't think, unless like you have like kind of an aggro-y deck. I don't know if Pact fits our deck very well. Like we do usually kind of put a lot of lands to the battlefield, but I don't know if it's like our best counterspell. I think Swan Song is pretty great in general in terms of value. So I'm pretty happy like kind of with this, suite. I think that we even have counterspell in general, like counterspell. Yes. So we even do play like just like a counterspell. I mean, like if we're gonna be playing like EDH, we can probably just play a Mana Drain. and be happy with like one of our game changers being that. So that's fine. That's totally fine. So that's mana drain there. Now I think I was going to be playing the Aegis because of the Simulacrum Synthesizer, but I don't know if that's necessary any longer. I was very happy with like a Grasp of Faith and a Conclave Tribunal. These cards go so hard with Elish Norn because they're just going to simply eat up multiple creatures at once and permanents. This one's especially crazy because it's just each of your opponents, right? Yeah, for each opponent. Is this a for each opponent or just a target? It's not as good. So we're going to get rid of the Conclave Tribunal. It's okay. But the Grasp of Fate is pretty hot stuff, isn't it? Same with the Seam Rip. I'm pretty happy with this. Is it non-land permanent? That's pretty good. That's non-land permanent too. Yeah, those are both very good. But we'll take the Portable Hole and Static Prism. I'm not too sad about that. Omen of the Sea is pretty decent as well. I don't know if we need the Curse of Silence because the multiplayer probably gets a little less better. And I guess the deck is done. I don't really want to touch this too much more. I don't think there's really too much more tinkering to be involved. I think this would probably be something you'd be very excited to play for a casual commander night. It'd probably need to be proxied, like unless you like kind of already were sort of on your way. And I am kind of already on my way for this deck. Like I basically, this is kind of a splurgy card. $30 for the Thassa is kind of brutal. I'll be honest. I did not expect that card to be like that much because simply these effects don't usually cost that much. Like in terms of monetary value, like I was even surprised about the Teleportation Circle. This thing is like getting up there too. So this Thassa is she's hot stuff, man. You know. Can kind of be getting in there, you know, if the devotion gets to a certain point. It's just exiles a creature, you know, like it's not just non-land permanent, unfortunately. Oh, we got Felly in here as well. So yeah, this is kind of the deck, guys. I think if you really wanted to kind of get like really spicy, you'd probably add like the Seed of Synod just for the Emery. And honestly, it really helps. The internet really kind of helps out a lot because I can't remember all the, you know, like Den. It's like Den of something or other. Ancient Den. Okay, so now those are artifact lands, and that will just help it will help out somewhat with at least it will help out our, where is our girl here? The Ingenious Smith, because it looks 4 deep, so that will help us find artifact lands. That will definitely be worth it, even if we get Vandal Blasted, I think. I think. So this is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this this fun one for us today. I know you all like to look at least maybe like a hand or two. This card is busted too, so I'm somewhat on my way. I'm missing like this Elspeth card, and these cards I can just simply order from the net, like the Darksteel Splicer, Blade Splicer. These like little, you know, like 30-cent cards. That's no problem. For the heavy hitters, though, I'm going to probably have to go head out to the LGS and kind of look through the binders, as you would say, and see what they got. But I'm mostly there. I have like the Overlords. I have Soul Herders. I made a deck like this kind of before. I just, you know, there's just a couple new cards like this one that I'm going to have to get. Plus, like I said, there's some of these cards I'm just simply not going to be able to find really at the LGS. I'm just going to have to like kind of buck it up and just kind of order them a la carte. So, but that's basically how to create like, you know, a deck starting from MTG Brawl and then going to EDH. You definitely can use like a deck, building website like Moxfield, and also like a service such as EDH Rec to kind of like navigate your way through the cards and maybe find some types or archetypes you want to build upon. So this will be like our ode to Golems here. Beautiful. And yeah, that's kind of like the one. So guys, make sure if you like this content today to like and subscribe. We can do more of these. These are unique decks that kind of interest me on MTG Arena and just Magic in general. So I think what we can do is kind of take a look at a hand and kind of see how we're looking. I was very fond of kind of just like the land count here. I love Gemstone Caverns. I think it's a fantastic card. We can kind of look to see where we landed. It says we're at core. So I guess Mana Drain isn't considered a game changer, which is surprising to me. But whatever. It's basically like the best blue card. So this looks pretty good. And Esper Sentinel is not considered a game changer either. Is that true? Okay. So yeah, this looks like a nice little hand to start off with. And yeah, you can just kind of flow from here. She's really cool too, the Halia. I think this would actually, I think you could actually pull this off, the warp here, with 3 mana with a Personify, which would be really cool. I'm sure we'd draw a card or 2 off of this, right? We'd probably get to like 3. I'm sure we would get there, guys. That'd be really cool, is like going here and warping this and then personifying it. Because it does gain a life upon itself entering, and then you personify. It comes in, it gains another life, sees the changeling come in, you gain a 3 and you get to draw, and then you get to keep her there. That's pretty nice stuff. And that's a card we drew from it. Swords. Yeah, it kind of got hit by the mana train here. Where's our lands at? Well, we could just definitely get into the Sir Malcadorish here. And I'm sure we'd be drawing some cards along the way, right, guys? I'm sure we would be. So, yeah, we did land at 40. I think 40 is fine. I think it is. We did add a Soul Ring. So, can play around with it. I think it's okay. The cards that I'm probably not totally married on, I don't know. I mean, we put in the Guardian Idol for the Golem. Let's try one more to see if we kind of... we'll get another Esper Sentinel. That's crazy. This one's going to be a little faster because of the gemstone. Probably get into like a faster thing. We'd probably get rid of like the you have to exile from hand. It's any card, right? Yeah, I could just like exile a land itself. That's fine. Archway of Innovation. Yeah, I don't think I'm too unhappy with our land count here. It looks pretty appropriate. That was just like kind of a weird one. Now, is creature only? Dang. Man, if this could hit like the Smitty, that would be insane. Luckily, the Planar Incision can hit this Smitty, though, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, most of these Blink events are creature orientated, so they're kind of interesting. But yeah, it looks super sick, man. All right, guys. Woo! The Overseer. Brawl to EDH. Yeah. Take it easy, guys. Have a great week.